everything, and I sort of narrowed it down, and there was one in particular, and I just looked at him and I listened to her voice, and it made me realize that the voice of this book is a female voice, and that's why I chose that, went with a female narrator, right? So yeah, that's kind of
great. Thank you for the question. Thank you for sharing this. I think you've all kind of made us remember us of the people who love us, our mothers, and what strengthened us. So thank you for that. Zukiswa.
Noktula, I know you're, oh, right, sorry. Noktula, I know Daughters of Nandi has been staged. Do you have any plans for it to go beyond the stage or to do other things with it? And Uma, any plans to do a film adaptation of such a beautiful thing to behold? Because I know lately I've noticed with Netflix and Showmax a lot of adaptations of books to film. Do you have any plans as a filmmaker?
Okay, so the question that Zukiswa Vena has asked, the background is that Zukiswa Vena and I, when we launched the book, we actually did a dramatized a reading of it, where I was subsequently fired as Queen Nandi because of certain of my actions. But the director now wants to take it on the road without me. But non-dumiso msimang. So hopefully that will come together. And of course, we are applying for funding for a film, because it would be incredible. There's actually at the moment a film called Ilembe, which is on King Shaka. It's a series, it's a TV series called Ilembe. And if you check on YouTube, in South Africa we call it Bomb, 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 Bomb. But it was a film on King Shaka, but the framing was a bit, the gaze was quite wide. But it was informative in terms of, some of the facts which were on point, So, short answer, yes. Yeah.
Yes, one of the, even in terms of like talking to film agents, film TV agents and everything, there has been a lot of, so yes, I would love to see this, exist in another format, a sort of, little fantasy that I like to imagine is thinking of it as like a Studio Ghibli film, and with Angas rather than like Japanese, but this, the same kind of style of animation for those that are familiar with, films that, the studio puts out. But we've been getting a lot of, challenges in terms of, so apparently, right now, like the market, for example, isn't hot for pandemic novel, and things like that. And that's something that has really sort of affected, I think the book sort of, the book's chances at being optioned and things like that. But I'm imagining alternative scenarios. It's a book that has a very local texture. It's a very particular part of Plateau State, not even Jos. For people that know Jos, it's outside Jos. It's sort of inspired. The landscape and all of that is inspired by, the terrain of my mother's village and the local government that she comes from. So I like to imagine a situation where probably get some money together or something and get a good. I think I sort of shirk at. I hesitate at the idea of directing my own work as a writer because I feel like it's too much power. So anyway, that's something I'm still thinking about. But yeah.
Thank you, thank you. So we have, I think, time for one more question or someone who would like to share strategies on resilience. I haven't forgotten that one. Yes, isn't it? Yeah, it was nearly neglected. Any other questions or strategy suggestions? No? Oh, Yes? All right.
My question is, as a prose writer, I have always wondered if the subject matter comes first.
You know, back to Nokutula's point about the fact that you're actually, as a fiction writer, I feel that my primary responsibility is to tell a story and to tell it well. And oftentimes, that, you know, that sort of, I think it's that desire, you know, to sort of write something that people want to read. But at the same time, you know, it's a voice that you have, and you're saying something with it, you know. And if you're saying something, it might as well be something that you actually believe in or something that you feel strongly about. So sometimes, you know, you'll get an idea and it may feel hot, or, you know, you may feel like, oh, you know, this is something I want to do, or I want to talk about this issue. But oftentimes I find that, you know, it's sort of, I don't know, sometimes I think I want to say one thing, and by the time I'm sort of at the other end of the book and it's done, you know, I'm saying something else, you know, because I've sort of worked through the process of, you know, understanding it. So I think it's important to, you know, if you're going to sort of, if you have a message and that seems to be the important thing, you might as well just write, you know, an article or something, right? But a story it has the power to do so much, you know, it contains so much. And I often like to sort of make the distinction between having a message and a story having a message and a story having meaning, you know. And I think meaning is a more interesting and it's a more powerful way of looking at it. I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Wow. So that's a. Can I? I was just going to say that that's a very difficult question. I never quite know how to answer it. Because I, for one, I'm quite a chaotic writer. You know, I start anywhere and end anywhere, you know. And a book which anchored me was titled something along the lines of, you know, there's like a million ways or something to start your story or to get story or whatever, you know. And I'm literally that person where it can be a piece of gossip, it can be a smell, it can be music, and I never know where I'm, you know, it's like being on the waves of the ocean. You never know where you're gonna land. Are you facing this way? Are you facing that way, you know? And first drafts, yeah. They are not pretty.
Great. Hashtag first drafts, they are not pretty. Wow, thank you so much for this great audience. Thank you so much, Noksula. Thank you so much, Umar. It was such a pleasure to meet you now in person. I already had the feeling when I was talking to you on phone, and it was an absolutely honor. May you continue to be gifted and have all the stories that you would tell, and we get all the books to read. They are available downstairs, and don't be stingy. Buy some for your friend or your family members. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alexandra, Uma, and Nokutula. Please give them another round of applause. We're making good time today, so we'll take a 10-minute